Welcome to the Rock the Stage Show. Each week, international media expert Rich Bontrager has in-depth and personal conversations with celebrities, top leaders, authors, speakers, and media professionals. Now, from the Rock the Stage studios, here's your host, the Trigger, Rich Bontrager.
Welcome back to Rock the Stage Show, Sunday night, and we got a special holiday show and lineup for you. Welcome to the official Big Guest Roundup. I'm talking big, stellar guests from 2025. We're going to feature 3 of them here tonight for you and pull out some of the best of material that we had over the course of our conversations of each of their own individual episodes. Coming up tonight on the Big Roundup, we've got Karen Jacobsen, Mike Rayburn, and Lee Waddell. And as we get into this for tonight, we do want to set this up. Happy holidays. We hope you have a great time enjoying and looking back on some of 2025. We're going to start off with Mike Rayburn. He's a Grammy-nominated musician, keynote artist, but he's gone from Carnegie Hall to inspiring leaders worldwide. Actually, he's gone from gymnasiums to Carnegie Hall. Mike reveals some of the creative mindset that unlocks massive potential in people and artists, but he also will touch on a taste of his legendary guitar work. Yeah, he's going to pull out the guitar and share a little bit of what he can pull off. As we join the conversation, we're going to ask Mike about the first chance that he had to actually play at the legendary Carnegie Hall. What a big experience that was. Here now is Mike Rayburn on Rock the Stage Show.
Let's go to Carnegie Hall for a second. What was it like the first time you stepped in? I mean, my gosh, what an iconic location.
Yep.
The people that have been there before you, but what's it like for you to walk through and go, I'm in Carnegie Hall on stage and the lights are on me?
Yeah, no, there's a Ron White line that I use sometimes. Like when the first time when I walked out on stage there, the first for sound check, and I'm there with my guitar. We're gonna plug in. I'm gonna be playing Carnegie Hall, and I'm walking out on stage, and I'm thinking, nobody's stopping me. Nobody's stopping. And and I'm waiting for someone from backstage to go, hey, we didn't mean you. Get back.
Right. Bring the hook out.
And there's, on one hand, there's the level of, okay, I'm going to be standing in the same place that everyone from John Lennon to Thelonious Monk to literally Tchaikovsky himself have stood. And it's not hard to get a little imposter syndrome in that situation. Or the thing that speaks to the what if side of this is how I got there. Because people say, well, how'd you get to Carnegie Hall? How do you get to Carnegie Hall? And the old joke is practice. Well, yeah, practice. You could also get in a cab and say, take me to Carnegie Hall. That'll do it. But anyway, what happened was, I'll paraphrase this, but it's important. There's an important point I'm summing up here. I was playing colleges. For 16 years, I played 1,800 college shows all over the U.S. and Canada. That was my gig. And this is the same time I was writing for Sony in Nashville, and I was doing other things. But that was my main gig was live performance, and I would do 150 shows a year. Right. And at colleges. And I wanted to get beyond the college market. And my agent at the time was representing a group called 1964 The Tribute. They're considered, Rolling Stone magazine called them the best Beatle tribute band ever. And there's entire conventions of Beatle tribute bands. So there's a lot of them. Anyway, so I asked my agent, I said, let me open for them for free. Because they were selling 1,000 to 3,000 seats everywhere they went. Okay, all these theaters, they're selling out. So I said, tell the promoter I'll open the show for free. Just let me sell my CDs afterwards. And you can tell how old it was because I said CDs. It was mid-'90s, and it took me a while to talk him into it because he wasn't into bold moves. However, I did, and I started doing it, and so I would make more money on CD sales than I did on a regular gig. So I would get to do about 2 of these a year. Fast forward, that was about 1996, something like that. Fast forward, 2003, this guy gets involved with 1964, a guy named Mark Johnson, wonderful man, who told my agent, I want to take them to Carnegie Hall. And my agent said, they can't play Carnegie Hall, they're a Beatle tribute band, which tells me I have the wrong agent. But anyway, side note. So he gets them, bottom line is that he gets them into Carnegie Hall, and they need an opening act. if they had chosen any other tribute band, it would become a commodity night. It's a tribute night. We're going to tribute to bands.
Yes.
They don't. 1964 is not an anomaly.
Mm-hmm.
However, if they have someone who's not like that, like, maybe me, open the show, then it doesn't change. They still become this thing, this iconic, Beatle tribute band. So my agent calls me and says, Mike, do you want to play Carnegie Hall? And I said, let me think about it. I'll call you back. No, I said, Carnegie freaking Hall. Are you serious?
Yeah.
And so they needed an opening act. So
let's get into your music, because you're a world-class guitarist, but you also blend comedy. You bring comedy to music.
Yeah.
Was that what you did at Carnegie? You did the whole comedy guitar routine?
Yes. So I had, it was comedy and guitar. In fact, obviously it wasn't speaking, because now I'm a speaker. So I use guitar and comedy to teach What If and perform like a virtuoso. So, there, what I do is here's a piece I started with. This is how I walk out. I'm going to try to do this so that you guys can see it. And here. So, it doesn't, so my head won't be in the shot, but that's okay.
It worked for Waylon Jennings.
So I start out, I walk, ladies and gentlemen, Mike Rayburn, and I walk out on stage and I go,
I took guitar lessons and I never got to do that. So congratulations. You fabulous. By the way, who are your musical influences growing up?
Growing up, my first favorite singer, the first songs I ever played were Johnny Cash. Absolutely. I used to watch his TV show. The first song I ever, I was just kind of walked out with my family, and I was just kind of sitting around I remember what it was, the kitchen table, and I was just sitting there, and I went, I hear the train coming, it's rolling around the bend, and I ain't seen the sunshine since I don't know when. Well, I'm stuck in the folds of prison. Yeah, so that was where I started.
So I'm kind of curious. Did you begin as a rocker yourself and then flip over to the comedic storytelling side? Where did your career transition from?
Great question. I started off by playing other than Johnny Cash, I have an aunt who's only 8 years older than me, and she was at the Beatles' first Shea Stadium, their first concert in the U.S., and she was front row to see them in Washington, D.C. It's hard enough to find somebody who saw the Beatles live, let alone someone who saw them twice. Yeah. That's my aunt. So I'm 4 years old. She's bouncing me on her knee going, ready? John, Paul, George, Ringo. Okay. And so she got me listening early. So it was the Beatles, and then the acoustic 70s. John Denver, Jim Croce, the Eagles, a little bit of James Taylor, and then the later ones that followed up, Poco and Firefall, and so I liked that kind of stuff. Also, though, the edge to me was I grew up in the South, and so I still am. My all-time favorite band.
Oh, wow!
And so I was playing,
Oh,
And of course,
oh, yeah, there we go.
yeah, anyway.
So then you go from that, and eventually you end up being a comedic storyteller with a guitar. So where did that come in?
Great question. Again, because I realized I didn't finish answering the question. I was in high school. I was in 10th grade. And there was a funny song that came out on the radio. Jim Stafford did a song called "The Wildwood Weed," which was a takeoff on "The Wildwood Flower."
Okay.
But it was about weed, and so it was a parody. And so the wildwood flower grew out on the farm. We never knowed what it was called. Some says flower, some says. One day I reached down for a weed to chew on. I picked up wildwood flower. Things got fuzzy, things got blurry, and then everything was gone. And it goes on. It's okay. So I sang that at an assembly in our high school. I went to Thomas Jefferson High School in Northern Virginia for 2 years, and so we had an assembly, and I played it, and everybody laughed at all the lines, and I loved that. That was fun. So I started doing funny songs as a regular thing, and then I started playing bars, and I would do funny songs within what I was doing, and I didn't know how to. It took a long time for me to figure this out, but this is literally the progression is. I would do like take it easy, take it easy. I would do that, and then I think, okay, now that was a non-funny song. Now I'll do a funny song, and then I'll do a non-funny song, and then I'll do a funny song, and whatever. And one day, I remember where I was at this little college in North Carolina, and I thought, what if I do more than one comedy song back to back? And so I did it, and what happened is the laughter. It's like compound interest. It was a snowball. It just went in the right direction. And that was probably my first show being a comedian.
What a great time with Mike Rayburn we had. You want to make sure you go back, rewatch the full episode we did with Mike, learn more about his music, how he blends it all together, adds the comedy, and now adds leadership teaching into it as well. But moving on with our holiday special with the big stars here this week, we're going to travel to Australia with the iconic international singer and the voice behind the Australian Siri. Yes, the GPS girl herself, Karen Jacobsen. She shares her unbelievable journey from Australia to global fame. Plus, she also talks about how to navigate life's biggest turns in life. Let's join the conversation now as I'm asking Karen about how this whole journey, how this whole career began being the GPS girl. First of all, how did you even get into that? Were you a broadcaster? Were you reading books online? What did you do to get pulled into being Siri?
I'm a singer-songwriter, so I've been writing songs since I was very small and playing the piano and singing. And when I lived in Australia, I was singing jingles in a lot of different recording studios. And many of those recording studios also recorded voiceovers. And voiceovers, of course, are the spoken word for commercials and on radio and television and in cinema. So I did a lot of voiceover work when I lived in Sydney, Australia. I moved to New York City with my suitcase and my dream. And not long after that, a client was looking for a native Australian female voiceover artist living in the northeast of the United States. And I saw that brief and I'm like, that is a description of me. This must be my job. And that does not happen that often.
No. So you had not been, like for me, I was in radio, long time radio broadcasting, sports, play-by-play, interviews. So they never saw my face. The whole idea of getting on camera was kind of a freaky thing for me, honestly, when I first made the switch. But what's it like for you to be the voice for 1 billion devices that people listen to you every day? What's it like to be the voice of comfort, safety, navigation for people?
You know, I think it is such an immense concept that I cannot quite even process it because, you know, people will come up to me and they want to share their stories, their travel stories, the wonderful places we've been together, the interactions they've had with the voice. They'll want to, tell me how they, apologize for yelling at me or for cursing at me or swearing at me. So it's interesting to me that people do develop such a rapport and really a relationship with that voice. And it does make sense. You're driving, you're on a dark road, maybe it's at night and it could be raining, you're lost, you take a wrong turn, and there's that voice of reason, that companion. And so I understand that, and people do humanize that and do humanize that with me. So, I do actually have a beautiful connection with people who feel very familiar with me right away. It is all odd, let's face it. It's really odd. But I do want to say, in terms of this period of time with AI and this kind of next phase of that we're all looking at right now and working out how to navigate, my voice being a part of that device for all these years was really an early part of that.
Well, yeah, I mean, you helped pioneer something. Again, it was
Right.
a voice on your apparatus. You had one option. Then they started to add these options in, and
Yes.
you could personalize your phone. And then also, for me being a visual guy, I'm thinking, I wonder if she looks like Olivia Newton-John.
You did not.
Yes, I did. That's not
Well,
because I love Olivia Newton-John. I love her voice. I grew up with her. I love Australia, so I haven't been there. I got to go. But I thought, if she looks like Olivia, this is a great voice.
so when I was a little girl, I grew up in a town called Mackay, a tropical town near the Great Barrier Reef. It's a beautiful turquoise blue water, sugar white sand, 9 out of the 10 most poisonous snakes in the world, paradise. And when I was a little girl, I was watching TV, and on came the most important and influential person in the world, Olivia Newton-John. And I saw her, and my life changed. I had direction. She was my inspiration, this blonde Australian woman who was a singer, who came to America. Everybody loved her. I wanted to be just like her. So it's amazing to me that you mention Olivia Newton-John, because she was my childhood inspiration.
Did you have any family members that did not know you're the voice of Siri, and at some point they call you up and say, I got to ask you? Did you have that happen?
Not with family members, but with friends. And in fact, the first time I found out that my voice was in iPhones was because my girlfriend in California called me and she said, look, they've got this new virtual assistant thing, voice assistant, in the new iPhone. This was in 2011, I think. And she said, it is you. It's your voice. And I was like, I had no clue what she was talking about, because we didn't know what a voice assistant was at that point. So that was a huge, moment to be like, really? And my voice is in all these devices everywhere around the world. I mean, it took me a long time to even begin to be able to fathom that.
Have you ever been in a car going someplace in the back seat and you hear them using the app, but then you jump in, not letting them know it? And do you give navigational directions just to freak people out?
Have you heard stories? Because yes, I have done that, and it's super fun.
No, I haven't heard stories.
Yeah, I have, and it's just the best fun to be the backseat driver in real life.
Oh, I wish we had a hidden video camera for that. But you are in the National Speaker Association. You do speak on stage, and it's interesting because you've now taken what being the GPS girl is all about, and you now speak on this idea of calculating your career. Yeah. How did that happen? I think it's a great branding marketing idea. Super.
Thank you so much. So I took, it took me a while, but I knew there was something in it because people were so familiar with me when they would meet me. And ultimately, I made this connection between directions in the car and directions in life. And I created a brand called the GPS Girl. It's an empowerment brand. And I took that word recalculating and I created the 5 directions for recalculating, because I discovered that if we could use that power of recalculating, when we're in the car and we take a wrong turn and satellites work their magic, and then we start again and we are headed to our destination. If we could do that in real life, we could use that ability to begin anew at any moment. And so I speak to groups nationally and internationally about recalculating and navigating change powerfully.
Well, speaking about skills and voice, you're a highly accomplished singer-songwriter. And in fact, music with a message, a cinematic message. Now, I've watched some of the videos. I listen to your music. I get the cinematic vibe to what you're doing because you bring power to the piano. You bring quiet into the piano, the orchestration behind you. It's very cinematic. And I love, how did Harry Connick Jr. come up with this idea that you're hypnotic?
I wasn't.
That's a great tag.
Isn't that lovely? I had the great fun of being a guest on Harry Connick Jr.'s national talk show several years ago, and during our conversation, he just looked up and he said that you're hypnotic. I was like, okay. Oh, yeah, that was really an amazing moment. But thank you for mentioning the music, because I've written songs since I was very small, since 7 years of age, and melodies and lyrics came into my head and words, and I wasn't quite sure what to do, but I felt like they were important and I needed to figure out how to write them down. And since that time, I've been writing songs, and in particular in the last 5 years, it's been the most creatively free period of my life, and I've recorded 5 albums in the last 5 years. I've only released 3 of those. One of them just came out last Friday, and I have 2 more ready to go. A lot of songs about the human condition, our quest for meaning in life, and then also different aspects of the kinds of challenges to do with relationships and grief and equality and, different issues that are really important to all of us.
Well, speaking about equality, for those of us streaming along, watching from the States, you did something pretty dramatic. In October 9th, 2012, Australia's first and so far only female prime minister was in control. Julia Gillard, I believe, was her name, delivered a speech. And that speech actually was put to music, word for word, and you sang it. Tell us about that, because I watched it, I listened to it. That speech threw some serious punches.
Let's go through the opposition leaders' repulsive double standards when it comes to misogyny and sexism. We are not supposed to take seriously that the leader of the opposition is offended by Mr. Slipper's text messages, when this is the leader of the opposition who has said.
How did you come about with that? How did you get permission to bring that to music? Amazing.
Thank you for asking about that project. I was watching a television show called Misrepresented, and that show was about the history of Australian women in politics. And they got to the part that Annabelle Crabb, the interviewer, reached the part where she was interviewing the former Prime Minister of Australia, Julia Gillard, about the impact of her iconic misogyny speech delivered in 2012. And as she was interviewing her, it was like a bolt from the blue. And I just raced to my computer. I searched up a transcript of that speech. I printed it out. I raced to my piano, which apparently there was urgency because I was racing. And I got to the piano and I put the script up there, of the transcript up there. And I put my hands down on the piano. And the music was just there. And I started to compose. And I spent 4 hours on that first day, just truly overtaken by this desire to create, setting this speech to music. And then I came up for air and I realized this was a much bigger project than just a few hours at the piano. And I felt compelled to set this entire 15-minute speech to music word for word. And what ultimately I created is the Misogyny Opus, which is a 55-minute pop orchestral work.
Well, again, it is nominated for an AIR Award for pop orchestral composition, and congratulations on all that. That's amazing. But I do have to ask you, because it's not just you. Most videos are the artist or the band or something, blow-up movie action scene, you literally incorporated other people. And again, I saw NSA friends in that video, but they lip synced and joined you, and you dropped them in and brought other people into a very powerful song. Where did that vision come from? Because that's just not singing the song and doing the song, which is, again, mind-blowing. You literally brought other real people into a real life event.
Again, it was a vision of mine that I just followed through with, and I invited and had recordings from 70 equality advocates from around the world, many of our colleagues at the National Speakers Association, and additional people doing incredible work in the equality space globally. And I asked them to each lip sync a section, and then Chris Orbit, the phenomenal editor out of Colorado, Emmy award-winning editor, he brought that together, and Tanya Derville filmed my part of it at the Mackay Entertainment and Convention Center in Mackay, and we brought that project together with a lot of contribution from a lot of people who all share that same desire to increase equality.
So there it is, just a snippet of the bigger interview we had with Karen, from the comforting voice of Siri to the big stages, to the musicals, to the stardom. What a journey she has had in her career. Make sure you go back and watch that full episode. Finally tonight on our holiday celebration of some of the best guests in 2025, we're going to go back to Hollywood once again and the Scream movie franchise. In fact, Scream 7, can you believe it? It's due to be released on February 27th, 2026, just around the corner. Lee Waddell is the man behind the mask and the blockbuster horror hit. He's a stuntman, a professional stuntman who does jaw-dropping falls, car chases, and much more. Let's join the conversation I have with Lee Waddell, the original Ghostface Lee Waddell. As he gets into it, we're talking about how he connected with Wes Craven and how this 29-year career of Ghostface began for him. Here now is Lee Waddell. 29 years. Can you believe 29 years?
Yeah, I'm getting old is what that tells me. So, we're at 29 this year. We're going to have 30th anniversary coming up next year. So I'm sure it's going to be huge. Scream-a-thon, crazy Scream Nation just coming out and everywhere. And, Scream 7's being produced right now. It'll be out a little bit later this year. So the franchise is healthy. I'm glad to be a part of it.
So everyone talks about the first killing. But I'm going to go to the one killing that I don't think anyone's ever asked you, but maybe they have. But I have not found a video clip of you talking about you killed Fonzie. You killed Henry Winkler. What's that all about? What was that like working with Henry Winkler? He has an uncredited role, and you kill him.
So, Principal Henry was his character name. And that was, obviously, we're shooting 96. And Henry's making that jump, from TV to feature. And that wasn't easy to do back in that time frame of film history, right? I mean, you were a TV guy, you were a movie guy, you were a commercial guy, whatever. And for him, he was... he made that jump successfully into feature film.
Yes.
And here we are hanging out with Henry Winkler. So Henry's the Fonz, right? He did, what was Happy Days? I grew up on him on Happy Days. That was 12 years, biggest dude on TV, right? I mean, come on. And was such a pleasant human being. I mean, what a pro. The guy was so cool to hang out with. And, he's out there signing books now and doing a few cons here and there, and everybody just raves about how super nice he was, and myself included. I had such a great interaction with him.
How much of that is Wes Craven scripting and telling you, and how much of it is the two of you working as actors and trying to figure out what's the best way to make the best death scene for Henry Winkler?
Well, it was great. So here's what I can't wait to see Henry again and remind him of how much an impact he made on me. It was from an actor side, right? Not the serious stunt guy, but from an actor side. He and I are working, and I owned it, man. I fanboyed out on him so hard. I've worked with big names and big directors and big everything. And, here's Henry Winkler, and I was just like, blah, blah, blah. And I was just an idiot. And I owned it, man. I flat out told him, like, we're actually on set together and we're getting ready to do this. I'm like, Henry, I'm fanboying so hard. And he laughed, you know, he goes, Dad, don't worry about it. You know,
Now I've seen you sport a shirt that says "I killed Drew."
yeah.
What a great T-shirt! What a great moniker!
Yeah,
Boy,
we're you know, I drug that out of the woodwork when they drug me out of the woodwork, you know, 4 years ago, I guess. And they're like, hey, it's the 25th anniversary of Scream. I'm like, okay. You know, I was fat and retired and fishing and hanging out and having a great time. And they go, hey, you know, why don't you come on out and do these cons and, you know, sign some stuff. And I'm like, what are you talking about? What are you talking signing stuff? Hey, I never did that, right? So all these actors that I worked with and doubled and had a great time with, not my thing. I was just a good working stunt guy. Showed up on time, did my job, went home, off to the next thing. You know, I'm old school like that. Never took pictures of people I doubled, never got autographs. That's just not how I'm cut.
Yeah. So what's it like? Like I said in the opener, what's it like to be the guy? You look like the actor you're doubling. You look like the ghost or creature you're doubling, but they don't see you. What's it like to be that iconic, but not that iconic?
I mean, usually stunt guys don't get credit. I mean, yeah, we play a part like, you know, hey, yeah, be a cop, get shot, die, fall over, crash car, whatever. So then, you know, you might see us, but we're nondescript for the most part. It's not necessarily a character that we play. So being behind a mask, you know, I approached it from an actor's point of view for starters, right? Because now we're getting not as a stunt guy, you know, and Scream, the whole franchise is not a heavy stunt. You know,
No, it's not.
None of them, what I consider heavy stunt work, right? We're not really doing a lot of explosions and wire work and things are blowing up and stuff like that. So it's, in my opinion, it's a light stunt movie. Stunt's all the same, but it's, you know, people falling down and maybe a fight or two, but nothing heavy.
How do you emote through that mask? Because there's been different guys in the suit. Is there a consistency they want from the different guys to try to say, wait, we don't do it that way. You got to do it this way. Or is it left to expression a little bit?
Well, that's a great question, because if you talk to guys and girls that have done mask work, right? Because as you and I are having this conversation, we identify through our facial features and, you know, look at each other's eyes and all that great stuff, smile, whatever. So as soon as you take that away, you've taken 90% of the game away, right? So now you got to take, you know, how do you sit there and emote those emotions through the physical without a face? Very challenging, a lot more challenging than people realize, right? Even other actors who've never done mask work that have had that's a double-edged sword. You can sometimes hide behind that mask, right? But then when you try to bring some emotions forward without being able to see a person's face, very challenging. So it's not easy as an actor to be hidden behind the mask.
Did you and Wes spend time saying this is the image, the backstory, the vibe I want you to exude? Because the math takes away so much. So how did you create the narrative of Ghostface?
Yeah. So one of the things that, you know, what was really cool about the original Scream was that we shot the first 2 weeks in sequence, which never happens, right?
No.
And, you know, for some people that know or may not know, is when you shoot in sequence, you start with, hey, day one, scene one, take one, go, right? And actually get to, you know, film. And then you get day two, scene 3, 10, whatever it is, and you just keep going down the line. So it unfolds. You know, that doesn't happen very often in filmmaking. And that first couple of weeks, we actually had that opportunity to do that. And so when I sat on, I was with Wes, I had the robe on, and we're inside the house, right, that Drew was running around in, right, Casey's house. And 20 minutes maybe before the camera rolled, he and I sat down and birthed that character. You know, sat down with as an actor to Wes, and I'm like, hey, what's this guy about? You know, and we chit-chatted and bounced some ideas. And he goes, and one key takeaway was that he always remember, he goes, Lee goes, I'm like, yeah, he goes, remember this guy's a phantom. I'm like, okay, I could wrap my mind around Phantom, right? And I kind of rewound to when I loved black and white horror, right? The original stuff from Universal, you know, and then I took it back and I'm like, okay, remember the original Phantom of the Opera, who was, that was Chaney, I believe, right? Yeah, remember how he moved? And he was quick and he was swift. And da 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 da. And so I took a little of that DNA, threw it in there, and that came across. Like, so in that opening scene, when you see me zipping around that house, very phantom, very quick, very on direct, right? And that was how that character at that initial onset came about. It was that quick, that fluid, that easy in a sense.
Now, there's a fraternity of sorts of the Ghostface.
Yeah.
Alan Robinson has been on Rock the Stage. He was in the suit.
Yep.
What's it like to have guys? You guys talk about what you did, what I did. I like what you did. You shouldn't have done that. Is there a little discussion now behind the scenes of who's the best Ghostface?
Well, I mean, no, not really, because I am the best, and so I was the one who started it. So everybody that's coming after me better do it right. And so we chit chat about that among ourselves, right? And it's a fraternity, right? In order to, and and there's a lot of guys that, I was Ghostface. I'm like, and the unwritten rule of it, so to speak, is like, well, who did you kill?
Now you've done other things. You've done X-Men First Class, Jarhead, Spider-Man, U.S. Marshals, but your career, from what I can tell, started with Terminator and James Cameron.
God,
is that your first big breakthrough?
Yeah, that was my first crack at it. I think that was my first SAG.
That's not a bad guy to start off with.
But
come on, James Cameron, Wes Craven, wow.
But I didn't know who James Cameron was at the time. That was, he was just coming out, right? And I'm such a geek in that sense. It's like I was just doing a job, working, and it was just a driving sequence. I was like number 5 in the line. I'm just one of the guys. And so, Cameron wasn't James Cameron that he is now, right?
Yeah.
Like my very first extras work to start getting into the industry so I could meet the stunt coordinators and all that was like John Carpenter, Christine, right? John Carpenter, right? My guy, and I'm on set and I could really care less about John Carpenter because I was at that time just a hustling stunt dude. And I wanted to go meet the stunt coordinator and the stunt guys and sit down and just watch and learn. They're like, John Carpenter, like, who's that? Da, da, da. Which is crazy because I knew damn well who who directed the thing and all that stuff. And so
you were a utility stunt guy. What does, for those that don't know, what's a utility stunt guy versus stunt guy?
Well, we're always stunt guys, right? And as much as I love actor, my DNA is in stunts. But utilities means, okay, hey Lee, come over here, crash that car. Hey Lee, go over there and die. Hey Lee, go grab that pad, right? We're just around. We're just bodies, right? Hey, we got this big scene. Hey, this big scene where the car drives through the coffee store. Go get a coffee. Don't get hit by the car. React when it drives through. Whatever. ND, which is nondescript. Utility means you get to do a little bit of everything.
Now, Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
You got eaten by a dinosaur.
Yeah, that was a good ride.
Man.
That was rough. That was one of my few times in my career where I got stretched out pretty good from that big lizard.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Because you remember, so that was in Lost World, which was Jurassic Park 2.
Yeah.
Doubled a guy by the name of, who was it, Richard Schiff?
The guy that was from the West Wing, who played Toby from West Wing.
Yeah, exactly. So Richard, great actor, right? He and I, and Spielberg was such a perfectionist and I made such a great double for Richard that they did a casting of Richard's nose so that they could shoot me almost head on, and it was perfect. Yeah, made a super good double for him. And I'm like, hey, great, go do some freaking action stuff. And I think he went off and did TV and threw some dialogue. That didn't help me out much. But so I was doubling him when he got eaten out of the Jeep or Mercedes.
Yeah,
it was with those dinosaurs.
You got ripped apart, man. There was like 2 dinosaurs fighting over the best meal of the day. Yeah,
right. And so the first part of that is practical. That was the real deal. So I know that stuff when I'm getting pulled out of the Jeep. That's all real. That's me. And then when I got thrown between the 2 dinosaurs, that was CG. And at that time in filmmaking, CG and practical were crossed over a lot. Right? CG is really starting to make inroads into the film industry.
Yeah.
Which was a really cool time to be making movies. I'm a little bit tired of CG at this point.
Yeah, it's been overused. I'm much more of a practical in-camera guy if I can.
Yeah.
I love seeing that. How did they pull? Was that a crane that pulled you out, and then they over CG the dinosaur, or how did they pull you out of there?
So the dinosaurs were real in the sense that they're all basically it's a backhoe with a lizard skin on it. I mean, these things were hydraulic, articulate. Stan Winston's effects made that, right? And Stan was side by side. In fact, when we did that stunt, I went to Stan directly, and because they took one of the big lower teeth out of the T-Rex, so I could put my leg in its mouth, right, and have a channel for it. And I asked him, I'm like, Stan, he's like, yeah. I'm like, let me have the tooth. and he because I wanted that, because I knew this was an iconic stunt. We knew it, it was going to be a one and done thing.
Well, that's going to do it for a holiday celebration, the 2025 Celebrity Holiday Special. Thanks for all my many guests, for the special guests we feature here tonight, especially for Karen Jacobsen, Mike Rayburn, and Lee Waddell. Be sure to check out those full episodes of each of them from 2025 Rock the Stage Show. And thank you for watching. And be sure to keep watching and subscribe, comment, and become a part of the community here in 2025 as we wind down, and, of course, ongoing shows in 2026. I do want to say special thanks to my amazing guests over the year. It's been an amazing year of going with leaders, actors, influencers from around the globe. We've expanded our reach further than ever before in 2025. Also, big thanks to my MC and colleague, Sandra D. Robinson. See the voice you hear that introduces every episode. And to my amazing showrunner, Robert Stack. Robert's been a big part of that global reach, that expansion that we've experienced. Thank you, Robert, for making that all possible. As we wind down today, I want to wish you a Merry Christmas. And please have a safe holiday season. Enjoy the time with family and friends. We do have a couple more shows we will drop in 2025. Please check those out. But come back in 2026 as we continue to rock the stage each and every week. Have a great holiday season. Until next time, I'm the Trigger, Rich Bontrager, and keep rocking your stage.